is language partners. If you want to practice your French, well, the problem I have anyway, maybe you don't have this problem, is finding people to speak French with for any number of reasons. So I've been trialing Chat GPT, and it just works quite well. There are some hiccups when you're role playing with this app, because sometimes it wants to play both characters. I think it's really keen to do that sometimes, which is a bit annoying. But I'll show you how I've been using it. So first thing to do is I use Google Chrome to add a talk to Chat GPT extension. Works pretty well. Install this onto the browser and have a Chat GPT account. If you haven't got one, go to chat.openai.com and then follow the instructions, and it will require you to have a login and perhaps give it your phone number. That might be a bit too much for you. In that case, I completely understand why. And also what I do, but it's optional for you depending on your level of French. My French is not that great, but is I set up the conversation in English. So for instance, I would ask it, hello, would you like to have a role play with me? Yeah, I am a customer in a cafe. Okay, that's possibly enough. Right, okay, so sometimes you do this and it will play the role of the customer as well, and it'll just go off and have this huge conversation, which can be quite annoying. But in this instance, it's done the right thing. It's described the cafe, and it's played the role of the barrister. Now, at the moment, I can type it in, and it's also in English. So let's
Okay,
start.
great. I'll be the barista at the cafe. Let's set the scene. Role play begins. You enter the code.
Okay, I'll just finish that. So all the voice languages, as you could hear, was in French. It was reading the English, but so it sounded like it was a French lady speaking in her French accent. Speak recognition language is French as well, so hopefully my French is good enough for it to recognise. Sometimes it's not. But there you go. That's basically set up. I'm speaking English at the moment, so it doesn't understand what I'm saying. So hopefully, as soon as I speak some French, it will kick in. It doesn't always work. It's because I'm recording. So let's start. Bonjour, ça va? Je voudrais un café, s'il vous plaît.
Barista. Bonjour. Ça va bien. Merci. Bien sûr. Je peux vous préparer un café. Quel type de café aimeriez-vous? Nous avons des expressos, des cappuccinos, des lattes, et bien d'autres options. Translate your order into English for our role.
I fast forwarded it, but it translates it to English.
Apologize for the confusion.
Let's stop that. It's so let's pause that, so it can't hear me or speak. So basically, it's translating it to English. I can ask it not to, and so I'm just presented with the French, but I'm listening also to the French because it's reading it out, and it's waiting for me to answer. So let's see what happens. What do I fancy? Probably a cappuccino, maybe. Yeah, I think I could do with a cappuccino. Je prends un cappuccino, s'il vous plaît. So what it's done is I think, and I might be wrong because my French isn't great, I said un, but it's a mon. Je prends mon. I thought I said un, but that's fine. It's either my bad pronunciation, more likely, but it could be the software. The software is not perfect as well. And the barrister is answered perfect, a cappuccino. Would you like? And then it's going on what size, medium or large, etc. Now, what could be quite useful is if there are words you don't know, you can sort of copy and paste them into Translate, but then you can ask it, and you can ask it in English to carry on in the conversation, but to use more of these words you don't know in the conversation. For instance, chouette, which means to like. If I didn't know that, I could ask it to use that word extensively in the conversation so I get more exposure and more practice, and use it in a different role play, asking it to use these words. But also I can say, yeah, can we talk in a very historic way, or using certain key phrases, so to get more exposure, can you use more colours, etc, etc. So yeah, I just find this a really good way to have a conversation with the AI, and I think it's a really useful tool, at least for me, to find a speaking partner and just to help you with your pronunciation, but also your listening. At the moment, as I say, it's translating it into English, but I could say, please, can you stop translating into English, for example. And it didn't understand. It carried on translating into English. You sometimes have to ask it a couple of times, and eventually it gets it. Je prends un grand, s'il vous plaît.
Barista. Très bien. Un grand cappuccino. Et comment préférez-vous votre café? Avec ou sans sucre? E-translate your...
So you can skip through the translation as well. I'll stop that to stop it from picking up what I'm saying. Obviously, I'm trying to explain on the video, but without the video, I wouldn't be speaking as much English. But I skip through the English, but you tell it a couple of times and it stops translating it into English, and you're just having a conversation in French, which is good enough. So anyway, I think I'll leave it there. I find it really useful. It's very, very interesting. This role play, it's asking me if I want sugar or not, and yeah, I think it's great. Bye.